Hi guys, welcome back to 17 square meters garden. In today's video I want to give you a tour of my balcony garden. At the end of March, spring bulbs are finally blooming and perennial plants are finally waking up from their winter dormancy, so I have some things to show you. And also I want to share with you how I'm maintaining my spring bulbs. So what is my watering and fertilizing routine for bulbs that are just sprouting, just starting to emerge from the soil, and for flowers that are already in full bloom. So stay tuned until the end of this video, and now let's go, let me show you how the things are looking. Okay you guys, let's start with the back of the balcony. As per usual, a lot of things are happening here. A lot of plants are waking up from their winter dormancy. My Brennera macrophylla variegata is blooming. I love these small blue flowers. They look a lot like forget-me-nots. And finally this year I have some flowers because I planted this plant as a bareroot perennial last year and it didn't do much last year. As I said, bareroot perennials, they take a few years to establish, so I'm happy to see some flowers this year. Both of my hostas are waking up. My heucheras also are putting on some new growth. There are a lot of fresh leaves. There are even some bloom stalks appearing already. The one that I pruned in one of my recent videos has also put on a lot of new growth. As we turn around, you can see Clematis montana. There's plenty of flower buds on it. I'm really happy. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for these plants to establish, especially those early flowering ones, the spring flowering ones, because they bloom on old wood. But it grew a ton last year. When I planted it, it was just such a small little plant. And I'm really impressed with how fast and how vigorously this plant grows, because there's only one stem coming from the base of the plant, so all the top growth comes from one stem. It's quite amazing actually. Okay you guys, moving on. As you can see here on the railing, plenty of yellow daffodils blooming. These are the Barrenwyn daffodils and they smell amazing. I wish you could smell that. They smell like convalarias, lily of the valley flowers. That's a really beautiful scent, and as you can see, bees absolutely love them. On the floor here I have the composition that I planted in one of my videos. It was supposed to be a composition that blooms all season long. So first we had beautiful white crocus. Now they are done blooming. It was Joanne Dark, a beautiful large white crocus. And now we have daffodils. These are golden ducket daffodils, beautiful full flower head. And we also have tulips, yellow tulips. These are Sunny Prince. And early summer we will have ornamental garlic, so Allium, I think that was Allium bulgaricum in here. So these will bloom early summer, so it's a composition that provides color from early spring towards early summer. My Japanese maple Acer garnet is leafing out, and for the first time I see a little tiny flowers on my Acer. I haven't seen them before. Like, I'm growing this plant for I think 2-3 years now, and it's the first time it's blooming. I mean, the blooms are insignificant because they are just so tiny you can barely see them, but it's really a beautiful plant. More spring color on the floor here. This is a composition I planted very early on. I shared it in one of my recent videos. We have beautiful primroses still flowering. It's been months that they're flowering now. And ivy climbing on top of this arch that I created from two twigs. Hydrangea macrophylla has plenty of buds. It's going to be yet another beautiful hydrangea season. If you have any questions about hydrangeas, I do have a tutorial on how to grow hydrangeas in pots, so please refer to that video. I shared quite a lot of information in it. On the floor here we have yet another daffodil. These are daffodils that I kept from last year, and I'm so happy that I did, because you guys, I had 6 flowers last year from these bulbs, and look at this now. I think I counted about 20 flowers. These are sunny side up daffodils, and I don't know why the camera makes them look like they're really bright yellow. Like when I'm far you can tell more, like this is really bright yellow, this is more creamy yellow. And they have amazing ruffled petals. Like, aren't these the cutest? So bees also absolutely love them. I see bees all the time on them, and as I said, I'm so happy that I kept them, because now I have 20 flowers instead of 6. The flowers are smaller than they were last year, but I mean I have so many. They are hidden here. More of them are hidden here in my hydrangea. So yeah, an amazing bloomer, really worth keeping from year to year. Daffodil sunny side up. Up front we have a few more daffodils blooming. I don't even know what these are. I don't even remember planting them. I think in a basket we have some kind of mix flowers, and then these look a little bit more unique. I don't really know what these are. They kind of look like ice follies, but they are not ice follies. I don't remember what variety it is. Okay, and just a quick look at this part of the balcony, because there's not much happening, so there's not much to say, but Japanese maple is leafing out, and if any of you remembers, I was worried that this plant might be dead, because last year when I came back from holidays the plant was completely dry, but I kept it, I left it as it was. As I said, I didn't do much, I just kept watering it to not stress it anymore, and I have just repotted it recently, and as you can see, it's leaves out and it looks perfectly fine. There are some bare spots, as you can see, but actually the plant is not dead. The buds are just a little bit slower to open. As you can see, there are buds everywhere, even in the center of the plant. They are just going to take a little bit more time to open, maybe because the plant was so stressed with what happened last year. In the galvanized buckets I have my tulip display. Tulips always bloom a little bit later in spring, so not much is happening here yet. And one last update that I want to give you is on these people daffodils that are growing in this large concrete pot. So I had them, there's 90 pipit daffodils that I had planted in here in these containers last spring. I do have a video on what to do with spring bulbs once they are done blooming, and in that video I explained that when your flowers are done blooming, you cut the flower stalk off and you leave the leaves until they either die down naturally, or you have to keep them for at least 6 weeks. That's the minimum that the bulb needs to recharge, to send energy. The leaves send energy to the bulb so that it has energy to bloom next year. And because these were planted here and they bloomed quite late in spring, it was a time for me to take them out and to plant summer flowers, summer annual flowers in these pots already. And it hasn't been 6 weeks since these guys were done blooming. So what I did, I pulled, once they were done blooming, I pulled them out and I laid them flat on the floor, and I allowed them to kind of dry out for the leaves to send energy to the bulb once they were out of soil. And I wasn't sure if it's gonna work, I wasn't sure if they're gonna bloom. I would expect that they only come with foliage, but look at these guys. They are blooming and they look cute. They are way smaller than they were last year, but still they bloom, so they have accumulated enough energy to put on at least a small flower show. So these are gonna stay here. But yeah, hydrangea is leafing out. I see flower buds in here. This is hydrangea blueberry cheesecake, a gorgeous mountain hydrangea that's gonna put on a beautiful show in here early summer. And the last thing is my new ivy plant. I see some fresh growth, so it seems that it's all good in here. Okay, you guys, the wind is picking up and I think it even starts to rain. So very quickly, my watering and fertilizing routine. So when your bulbs are dormant, they don't need much, just a splash of water in winter. If the soil looks dry, that will be enough. But in spring, when they start to sprout and you see that first above ground growth, that's when you really need to start watering them regularly, because if you allow your spring bulbs to dry out when they are actively growing, that can cause stunted growth and it will impact their flowering. So from the moment I see my spring bulbs start to sprout, I start to water them and fertilize them regularly. I give them Alga Bloom. That's an organic seaweed fertilizer for the flowering phase, and even though they are not yet flowering, they will be flowering really soon. So if you have a fertilizer for flowering plants, that's what you would use. And if you don't have any fertilizer for your flowers and you are searching for something worth buying, Alga Bloom is definitely worth buying. That's something that I've been using on my balcony for years now, and I use it on for all of my flowering plants. So I start with Alga Bloom half strength at first, and then I slowly increase to full strength. And that's what I'm gonna use all the way until my bulbs are done blooming. And then if I want to keep my bulbs for next year, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut the spent blooms off and I'm gonna leave the foliage for at least 6 weeks, because that's the time that the bulb needs to recharge, to accumulate energy, to bloom next year. And during that time, during that period of at least 6 weeks, I'm gonna still continue to fertilize it with Alga bloom, so that it comes back for me next year even more beautiful than the year before, as you could see with my sunny side up daffodils. Now I brought another product with me here, another thing that I'm using, but this is optional, but I like to use it on all of my flowering plants. So this is called Green Sensation, and it is a potassium and phosphorus based additive. It's sort of a booster. So when my bulbs are already flowering, I like to add a drop of it to my fertilizer water, or sometimes I would just skip the fertilizer and use this on its own, because Alga bloom is an organic fertilizer, so it's more of a slow release for nutrients, whereas this is more of an immediate booster. So I like to use it during the flowering phase, just as a little booster, and as I said, I do it for all of my flowering plants. So that's that. Okay, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this March tour of my balcony garden and seeing my maintenance routine for my spring flowering bulbs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!